In the kingdom of Eldoria, there was a rule every child knew. Never visit the midnight market. Not because it was dangerous, not because it was forbidden, but because everything sold there came with a price. A real price. Not gold, not silver, something far more valuable. A memory, a dream, a year of your life, a promise, a piece of your shadow. The merchants of the midnight market accepted strange payments, and their goods were even stranger. You could buy bottled thunderstorms, keys that opened forgotten doors, maps leading to places that no longer existed, even jars containing laughter stolen from kings. Most people considered the market a legend. Most people were wrong, because 16-year-old Kael had found it, entirely by accident, which is how trouble usually found him. It began on a rainy autumn evening. Kael was returning home through the forest. His village sat near the edge of the kingdom, a quiet place, a poor place, the kind of place forgotten by nobles and maps alike. Rain poured from the sky. The path disappeared beneath mud. Then Kael noticed a lantern hanging from a tree. Strange, there had never been a lantern there before. Curious, he followed it. Then another appeared, and another, until hundreds of lanterns illuminated a hidden road through the woods, a road that definitely hadn't existed that morning. Kael knew he should turn back. He didn't. Because curiosity is often just bravery wearing a foolish disguise. The hidden road eventually ended at enormous iron gates. Above them hung a sign written in glowing blue letters, "Welcome to the Midnight Market." Kael stared. Then the gates opened by themselves, slowly, silently, inviting him inside. The market. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Thousands of stalls stretched beneath a star-filled sky. Music drifted through the air. Strange creatures wandered among the crowds. Some had horns, some had wings, some had neither but looked far stranger. Merchants shouted their wares: fresh dreams, bottled moonlight, lucky destinies, second chances. Kael wandered through the impossible market. A woman sold jars containing miniature oceans. A giant sold clouds shaped like animals. A child sold keys made from sunlight. Everything seemed magical, wonderful, impossible. Then Kael saw the old merchant. The merchant sat alone beneath a black tent. No customers, no sign, no display. Only a wooden box resting upon the table. The old merchant smiled when he approached, as though he had been expecting him. "Welcome, Kael." The boy froze. "How do you know my name?" The merchant ignored the question. Instead, he opened the wooden box. Inside was darkness. Not an object, not a creature, a shadow, a living shadow. It moved inside the box, breathing, watching, waiting. Two golden eyes suddenly opened within the darkness. Kael stepped back. "What is that?" The merchant's smile widened. "A dragon's shadow." Silence. "A what?" "A dragon's shadow." The merchant gently tapped the box. The shadow stirred. The golden eyes blinked. Very rare, very valuable, very dangerous. Kael immediately should have walked away. Immediately. Instead, he asked, "How much?" The merchant laughed. Exactly the wrong response. For anyone else? The old man leaned forward. "Everything." A pause. "For you?" His eyes gleamed strangely. "One memory." Kael frowned. "One memory? Any memory?" That didn't sound so bad. Everyone had thousands of memories. What difference would one make? The merchant seemed amused by his expression. "Choose carefully. Some memories are worth more than others." Kael thought for a moment, then smiled. "Fine. Take the memory of my 7th birthday." The merchant snapped his fingers. A silver thread emerged from Kael's forehead. The memory vanished, gone, just like that. Kael could no longer remember his 7th birthday, not even a little. The merchant nodded, satisfied, then handed him the box. "Take good care of it." "Why?" The merchant's smile disappeared, for the first time. "Because its owner is looking for it." A chill ran through Kael. "Owner?" The merchant slowly pointed upward, toward the night sky. Kael followed his finger and froze. Something enormous moved among the clouds, far above the market. Wings, massive wings, large enough to cover entire villages. Golden eyes opened in the darkness, watching, searching, hunting. The merchant quietly whispered, "And dragons hate being stolen from." The creature roared. The entire market shook. Lanterns shattered, merchants panicked, crowds scattered. And inside the wooden box, the dragon's shadow smiled. The dragon's shadow smiled. Inside the wooden box, its golden eyes glowed brighter. Outside, chaos erupted across the midnight market. Merchants abandoned their stalls, customers fled, lanterns exploded overhead. The enormous roar echoed again, closer this time, much closer. Kael looked up. The clouds parted. For a brief moment, he saw it. A dragon, not merely large, not merely enormous, impossible. Its wings stretched across the sky. Its scales gleamed like molten gold. Its eyes burned like twin suns. And every creature in the market looked terrified. The old merchant slammed the wooden box shut. "Run!" Kael didn't argue. For once in his life, he ran. The escape. He pushed through crowds, past overturned stalls, past frightened merchants, past creatures disappearing into hidden doorways. The wooden box bounced beneath his arm, and from inside came laughter, soft, amused. "This is your fault." Kael nearly tripped. The voice had come from the box. "You can talk?" "Obviously." The shadow sounded offended. "I'm a dragon's shadow, not a chair." Kael stared. "Shadows aren't supposed to talk. Dragons aren't supposed to lose their shadows," the shadow replied. "Yet here we are." A fair point. Then another roar shook the market. The shadow sighed. "Oh, that's bad." "What's bad?" "He's angry. I figured that out." "No." The shadow's eyes narrowed. "You figured out he's roaring. Angry dragons are much worse." That wasn't comforting, not even slightly.
The forgotten birthday. Kael finally reached the market gates. The path back to the forest lay ahead. Then the box suddenly grew warm, very warm. Golden light leaked through the cracks. "Wait," the shadow sounded surprised. "That's strange." "What is?" Silence. Then, "Your 7th birthday." Kael blinked. "What about it?" The shadow stared at him. "You don't remember it." "Of course not. I traded it." The shadow became unusually quiet, a bad sign. "What?" "I traded the memory." The shadow's eyes widened. "To buy me?" "Yes." "That's impossible." "Why?" The shadow looked genuinely alarmed. "Because that memory wasn't yours." The world seemed to stop. Rain froze in mid-air. The market noises faded. Even Kael's heartbeat seemed to pause. "What do you mean?" The shadow didn't answer immediately. When it finally spoke, its voice was very small. "Your 7th birthday is the day the Dragon King found you." Silence. "What?" "When nobody told you." The truth? The forest path suddenly vanished.
Golden fire erupted before the gates. The dragon had arrived. The enormous creature descended from the clouds. Trees bent beneath the force of its wings. The earth cracked beneath its claws. Every lantern in the market extinguished, one by one, until only the dragon's eyes remained visible. 2 blazing suns in the darkness. Kael could barely breathe. The dragon studied him. Not the box, not the shadow. Him. Impossible. The dragon's voice sounded like thunder. Ancient, powerful, terrifying. "You forgot." Kael took a step backward. "Forgot what?" The dragon's eyes narrowed. 17 years ago. Golden flames danced between his teeth. "A child I found." A memory stirred, not in Kael's mind, somewhere deeper, hidden, buried. The child had no name. The dragon stepped closer. No family, no past. Kael's heart pounded. "That's impossible." "Is it?" The dragon's voice softened, surprisingly. "Then why can't you remember anything before your 7th birthday?" The question hit him like lightning. Because it was true. He remembered fragments, small pieces. Nothing clear, nothing complete. Never had. He had simply never questioned it. Until now. The dragon lowered his head. "I protected you for years, until someone took you," the shadow whispered, "and stole your memories." The rain continued falling. No one spoke. Then Kael realized something. "Wait, if you're protecting me," he pointed at the box, "why are you trying to kill me?" The dragon looked confused, then offended. "Kill you?" "Yes, I've been searching for you for 17 years. A pause. "Why would I kill you?" That was actually a very good question. The shadow slowly sank deeper into the box, trying to avoid eye contact. Kael noticed. "What aren't you telling me?" The shadow sighed, a long, defeated sigh. "Fine. The Dragon King isn't hunting you. He's hunting me." Silence. "What?" "I stole myself." Kael blinked. "You what?" "I stole myself." "How?" "Long story." "Tell it." The shadow groaned. "Because I discovered something." Its golden eyes darkened. "Something hidden inside your lost memories."
The Dragon King's expression changed. For the first time, he looked worried, very worried. "Don't." The shadow ignored him. "Someone erased your past. Someone powerful. Someone who wanted you forgotten." The wind suddenly stopped. The Dragon King closed his eyes, as if he already knew what came next. The shadow whispered, "Because you aren't human." The world went silent. "What?" The shadow stared directly into Kael's eyes. "You are the last Dragon Prince." A deafening crack split the sky. Lightning illuminated the forest, and far beyond the mountains, a black castle suddenly awakened. Its highest tower burst into emerald flame, as though something ancient had just learned that Kael was alive.
The words echoed through the forest. "You're the last Dragon Prince." Kael stared. Rain fell, lightning flashed. The world seemed unreal. "That's impossible." The shadow sighed. "You keep saying that." "Because it is impossible. And yet it keeps being true." The Dragon King remained silent, which worried Kael far more than if he had argued, because silence meant agreement, and agreement meant the shadow wasn't lying. Far away beyond the mountains, emerald fire continued burning atop the black castle, a signal, a warning, or perhaps a celebration. Whatever it was, someone had been waiting for this moment. The Dragon King's story. The Dragon King lowered his massive head. For the first time, Kael saw exhaustion in those ancient golden eyes. Not weakness, sorrow. Long ago, thunder rolled across the sky. Before Eldoria existed, dragons ruled the skies. Golden flames flickered between his scales, and humans ruled the earth. Together, the shadow nodded. There was peace. The Dragon King continued. The Dragon Kingdom stood beyond the northern sea. A memory appeared in the air. Golden magic. A kingdom of crystal mountains, floating bridges, dragons soaring through the clouds, dragon riders flying beside them. Beautiful, magnificent, alive. That kingdom was called Dracoria. Kael stared. It felt familiar, strangely familiar, like hearing a forgotten song. And you were born there. The memory shifted, then darkened. Fire erupted. Screams filled the air. Dragons fell from the sky. The palace collapsed. The kingdom burned. A war. A terrible war. Who did this? The Dragon King's eyes hardened. The Shadow Emperor. The name itself felt wrong. Ancient. Cold. Hungry. The memory showed a man standing amid flames. Black armor. A crown of emerald fire, eyes like endless darkness, and in his hand, a sword made entirely of shadow. He wanted dragon magic. The shadow's voice grew quieter. All of it. So he destroyed everyone who stood in his way. Kael watched helplessly. The Dragon Kingdom burned. Dragons died. Heroes fell. And somewhere amid the chaos, a baby disappeared. You. The Dragon King closed his eyes. I escaped with you. The realization hit Kael. You saved me. The ancient dragon nodded. I promised your parents I would. Silence followed. Heavy silence. Then Kael asked the question. What happened to them? The Dragon King didn't answer. He didn't need to. The answer was written in his eyes. The memory thief. Suddenly, the wooden box began shaking, violently. The dragon's shadow growled. We're running out of time. Why? The shadow looked toward the distant castle. because he knows. Emerald fire exploded across the horizon. The night sky cracked open. A gigantic emerald eye appeared among the clouds, watching, searching, hunting. The Shadow Emperor, seeing them from hundreds of miles away. 17 years ago, he couldn't find you. The Shadow's golden eyes narrowed, because someone stole your memories first. Kael frowned. Who? The Shadow hesitated. For the first time since meeting him, the Shadow seemed afraid. Me. Silence. You? I erased your memories. The Dragon King sighed. It was the only way. Kael couldn't believe it. You erased my life? To save it. The Shadow's voice carried genuine regret. The Shadow Emperor tracks dragon blood through memories. As long as you remembered who you were, he could find you. The horrifying truth settled over him. For 17 years he had lived hidden, not by distance, not by walls, by forgetting. The return of Prince Kaelin. The rain stopped, completely. An unnatural silence spread across the forest. The Dragon King suddenly looked upward, alarmed. Too late. The sky split apart. A massive portal opened above them. Emerald lightning poured from its center. Black armored warriors descended, hundreds of them, riding creatures made of living shadow. The forest darkened. Trees withered instantly. Grass turned gray. Life itself seemed to retreat. And then he appeared. A man stepped from the portal, tall, elegant, terrifying. Black armor covered his body. Emerald flames crowned his head. His eyes glowed with ancient power. The Shadow Emperor. At last, he looked directly at Kael and smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, like someone finding something they had lost a long time ago. Prince Kaelin. The title felt strange, wrong, yet familiar. The Emperor stepped forward. 17 years. Do you know how long I've searched for you? The dragon roared. Golden fire exploded across the forest. But the Emperor merely waved a hand. The flames vanished, as though they had never existed. The dragon froze. Shock filled his eyes. Because that should have been impossible. No. The ancient dragon sounded horrified. You found it. The Emperor smiled wider. Then he opened his hand. Resting in his palm was a crystal heart, black, cracked, pulsing with dark power. The dragon shadow immediately recoiled. The heart of dragons. The world seemed to stop. The Emperor laughed softly. The source of dragon magic. The crystal heart beat once, a deep, powerful, ancient heartbeat. Then something impossible happened. Kael's chest answered, his own heartbeat in exactly the same rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. The Emperor's smile vanished. For the first time, he looked surprised, then shocked, then afraid. Impossible! The dragon slowly began smiling, a real smile, the kind that appears when hope returns. You fool! The ancient dragon looked at the Emperor. You stole half the heart. Silence. Then he looked at Kael. The other half was hidden inside the prince. The forest erupted with golden light, and for the first time in 17 years, dragon wings began forming behind Kael.
Golden light exploded across the forest. The earth trembled. Trees bent beneath the force of ancient magic, and behind Kael, dragon wings appeared. Not ordinary wings, not merely golden, They looked as though they had been forged from sunlight itself, massive, brilliant, beautiful. Everyone froze. The Shadow Emperor, his army, even the Dragon King, because none of them had expected this. Impossible. The Emperor's voice was barely a whisper. The heart chose him. The black crystal heart in the Emperor's hand pulsed violently, as though trying to break free, as though yearning for something or someone. Kael. The heartbeat inside his chest grew stronger. Boom, boom, boom. Each beat filled him with power, with memories, with fragments of a forgotten life. Then the memories came. The last night of Dracoria. The world vanished. Kael found himself standing in a royal chamber 17 years earlier, the night Dracoria fell. A woman stood near a window. She wore silver armor. Her golden eyes shone with tears, yet she stood tall, fearless, a queen, his mother, Queen Seraphina. Beside her stood a man wearing dragon-forged armor, a king, strong, noble, his father, King Arion. Outside, the kingdom burned. Dragons screamed across the sky. The Shadow Emperor's armies advanced, and still the king and queen remained calm, because they had already made their choice. King Arion knelt before a glowing crystal, the heart of dragons, whole, complete, powerful beyond imagination. He is coming. Queen Seraphina nodded, then looked toward a cradle, toward a baby, Prince Kael. Will it work? The king smiled sadly. It must. The heart of dragons floated into the air. Light filled the room. The crystal split into two halves. One half remained behind. The other transformed into pure golden light, flowing into the baby prince, into Kael, into his heart. The king's voice echoed, "As long as he lives, the heart survives." The vision trembled, then changed. The doors burst open. The Shadow Emperor entered. Black fire consumed the room. The king drew his sword. The queen raised her shield. Together they stood before their child. "Take him." King Arion looked toward the Dragon King. "Protect our son, no matter the cost." The memory shattered. The truth. The forest returned. Kael fell to one knee. Tears filled his eyes. His parents, they hadn't abandoned him. They had sacrificed everything, everything to save him.
The Dragon King lowered his head. "They loved you more than life itself." Silence followed. Then the Shadow Emperor laughed, a cruel laugh. And where did that love lead them? Black flames surged around him, to their graves. The forest darkened. The temperature dropped. The Emperor pointed toward Kael. "Give me the other half of the heart." "No." The answer came instantly, without hesitation, without fear. Kael stood. Golden wings spread behind him. For the first time, the Emperor stepped backward, just slightly. But Kael saw it. Fear. The secret he feared. The Dragon King laughed suddenly, a deep dragon laugh. Now he understands. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Silence. No. The ancient dragon's smile widened. Tell him. Kael looked between them. Tell me what? Neither answered immediately. Then the Dragon King spoke. The Emperor didn't destroy Dracoria because he wanted power. The Emperor's face darkened. Enough. He destroyed it because of a prophecy. Silence. The shadow inside the wooden box shivered. Oh, that prophecy. Kael frowned. What prophecy? The Dragon King looked directly into his eyes. The prophecy of the last flame. Lightning flashed overhead. Ancient words echoed across the forest. Words older than kingdoms, older than dragons. When shadow swallows the world, the final prince shall rise. The heart shall become whole. The forgotten king shall awaken. And darkness shall kneel before dragon fire. Silence. The Emperor's hands clenched. His emerald flames raged wildly. Because it was true. All of it. You were afraid, Kael whispered. The Emperor didn't deny it. I was wise. You murdered an entire kingdom to save the world. The answer shocked everyone, even the Dragon King. What? For the first time, the Emperor looked tired. Very tired. You think I wanted this? The black crystal heart pulsed. The Emperor stared into the distance, towards something only he could see. You know nothing. A terrible sadness entered his voice. The forgotten king is real. The wind died. Even the forest seemed to listen. And if he awakens, the Emperor swallowed. Everything ends. Silence. Absolute silence. Then the ground beneath them cracked. A massive fissure tore through the forest, miles long, miles deep. Golden light erupted from the abyss. Ancient light. Dragon light. Something was awakening beneath the world. Something vast. Something powerful. Something old enough to be remembered only in prophecy. The Dragon King's smile disappeared. The Emperor's face turned pale. And deep within the glowing chasm, a colossal golden eye slowly opened. Too late, the Emperor whispered. Because the forgotten king had awakened. The colossal golden eye opened beneath the world. The earth trembled, mountains cracked, rivers changed course, even the stars seemed to pause. Golden light poured from the abyss, ancient, powerful, terrifying. The forgotten king had awakened. Kael stared into the glowing chasm. For years he had heard stories of monsters, tyrants, destroyers, but nothing had prepared him for this. because the presence he felt below wasn't evil. It was sorrow, endless sorrow. The Shadow Emperor slowly fell to one knee, not in respect, in fear. "It's over." The Dragon King remained silent, his ancient eyes fixed upon the abyss. Then a voice rose from the depths, a voice older than kingdoms, older than dragons, older than memory itself. "Who remembers my name?" The world went still. No wind, no sound, nothing. Then Kael stepped forward. "I don't." The truth echoed honestly. "But I want to." The golden eye blinked, the abyss brightened, and suddenly Kael was pulled into a vision. The first dragon. He stood beneath an ancient sky, a sky without kingdoms, without castles, without wars, before history, before legends. A single dragon soared across the heavens, magnificent, golden. Its wings carried dawn itself. Every beat created life. Forests bloomed beneath its shadow. Oceans formed where it flew. Stars ignited in its wake. The dragon was not merely a creature, it was a guardian, a creator, a protector. The first Dragon King, the Forgotten King. Kael watched centuries pass. The first dragon guided humanity, protected it, helped civilizations rise. Yet, over time, people forgot. Stories changed. Memories faded, legends became myths, and eventually, the first dragon was remembered only as a monster, feared, misunderstood, abandoned, alone. The vision darkened. The great dragon descended beneath the earth, not because he had been defeated, because he no longer believed anyone remembered why he existed. And there he slept, waiting, hoping for someone to remember. The vision shattered, the real prophecy. The world returned. Kael understood everything. The prophecy had never been about destruction. It had never been about conquest. It had never been about war. The Forgotten King wasn't going to end the world. He was simply waking up. The Shadow Emperor had misunderstood the prophecy, and because of that misunderstanding, he had destroyed an entire kingdom. Millions had suffered, all because of fear. Kael looked toward him. "You were wrong." The Emperor lowered his head. For the first time in centuries, he had no defense, no argument, no excuse. Only regret. "I know." The words barely escaped his lips. The heart becomes whole. The black crystal heart floated from the Emperor's hand. The golden light inside Kael's chest answered. Both halves rose into the air, drawn together, slowly, inevitably. The heart of dragons became whole once more. Golden light exploded across the sky. Dragons everywhere felt it. Across mountains, across oceans, across distant lands. They lifted their heads and remembered who they were, remembered what they protected, remembered what had been lost. The Forgotten King emerged from the abyss, not a monster, not a destroyer, a dragon so vast that clouds gathered around his wings, stars reflected within his scales, his eyes glowed with ancient kindness. The world stared in awe. The great dragon looked at Kael, then bowed. The first Dragon King bowed to the last Dragon Prince. "You remembered." Tears filled Kael's eyes. Someone should have.
The ancient dragon smiled, a smile filled with gratitude and peace. The new age. The forgotten king spread his wings. Golden light swept across the world. Dead forests bloomed, broken lands healed, old wounds faded. Not erased, healed. The Shadow Emperor stepped forward, slowly, ashamed. Can forgiveness exist for someone like me? The world seemed to hold its breath. The Forgotten King studied him for a very long time, then replied, "Forgiveness is not forgetting.
It is choosing what comes next." The emperor closed his eyes and wept for the kingdom he had destroyed, for the lives he had taken, for the years lost to fear. At last, the burden he had carried for centuries broke, and when he opened his eyes again, the emerald flames were gone. 1 year later, the kingdom of Dracoria rose again, not as it had been, something new, something better. Dragons and humans rebuilt together, old enemies became allies, new stories replaced old fears. The Dragon King finally rested, knowing his promise had been fulfilled. The dragon's shadow returned to its owner, though it still occasionally disappeared just to cause trouble. And Kael, Prince Kaelin of Dracoria, became known throughout the world, not as the strongest king, not as the greatest warrior, but the king who remembered. Because sometimes the greatest power is not fire, not magic, not strength, but memory. The choice to remember the truth, even when it hurts. And high above the world, the Forgotten King soared among the stars once more, no longer forgotten, never forgotten again. Fear builds walls. Memory builds bridges. Fear destroys kingdoms. Memory saves them. The greatest treasure is not power. The greatest treasure is not immortality. The greatest treasure is remembering who you are and helping others remember too. For nothing truly disappears while it is remembered with love.